look to San Francisco, California, the leftist utopia or dystopia itself. Asian firefighter Gabriel Shin has an active criminal case going and civil lawsuits filed arguing that he is being racially discriminated against in order to protect his former black colleague, Robert Muhammad. But when I say former, I mean that it's Shin who is no longer employed by the fire department, not Muhammad. He's still working there. So back in 2021, Robert Muhammad suffered a severe family crisis that is not being publicly revealed. It was bad enough that his colleagues all wanted to pitch in to make his life easier by cooking food for him or by picking up extra shifts for him. But for some reason, when Muhammad got back to work, he targeted Shin and accused him of spreading his personal business to everyone. Shin denied this, but also refused to tell Muhammad which of their colleagues had told him about the family crisis. And so Muhammad threatened him to his face that he was going to F him up if he didn't name names. Muhammad allegedly made good on this threat. And in 2022, he took a hydrant spanner from the firehouse, which is essentially a giant wrench 15 inches long, and used the computers to track down Shin's work schedule and home address. Using this information, he's accused of finding Shin outside his house sweeping the sidewalk and of confronting him. Muhammad allegedly began swinging on Shin, breaking his arms with the wrench and leaving him with a concussion. Shin believes the only reason he didn't die is because of a neighbor who stepped in and who held Muhammad at gunpoint. A 911 call also supports Shin's account, as it was made by another neighbor who witnessed the attack in real time. But despite all the time he spent in the hospital, Shin's superiors at the firehouse told him not to cooperate with cops because Muhammad was having a really tough mental time with his family crisis and everything. So Shin should be understanding of that. Shin obviously was like, heck no, and so they canned him instead of Muhammad for pursuing litigation anyway. According to his attorney, Muhammad never faced discipline or a missed paycheck after the assault. Also, the process server who gave Muhammad his court summons likewise claims that Muhammad jumped in his car and chased him down the highway in the rain at 75 miles per hour. There's also a 911 recording of that as well. And yet, like Shin and his lawyers argue, Muhammad's being allowed to get away with it because of his race, while Shin believes he's being treated so disparagingly because of his race. But I won't hold my breath for any lefty to care about actual racism, anti-Asian racism, whatever, if it goes against their narrative. Joining us now to discuss is comedian Alex Stein, the host of Prime Time with Alex Stein for The Blaze. Alex, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Kara. And I just want to say that I had dental work on my tooth today. So my face, I do not have Bell's palsy or Guillain-Barré syndrome. I'm not vaccine injured. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you cleared that up. I mean, the Kansas Attorney General, he's suing Pfizer too now over all of this, over all the side effects, adverse effects, and all the rest that the vaccine has caused. But what a time to be alive, right? That first you even have to, make that announcement to the audience so no one worries all too much. But then also at the same time, I guess you can now attack someone with a wrench as long as you fit the narrative, and then you can make the victim lose his job for it. I mean, what a crazy world we live in, right?
Well, Kara, let's talk about all this black on Asian crime. That's actually very rampant, especially in California. I think it started in the Rodney King era where a lot of Asian store owners were getting mad at black people and shooting them. So, this is kind of a long history of strife between Asians and black people, but nobody ever talks about it. The media never talks about it. And sadly, these people have to, create racism so that it'll even exist, right? Because most people are not being attacked by people with wrenches. Most people live their life and they're not, under fear of getting attacked. But unfortunately, in California, it is very rampant where Asian people are getting attacked by African Americans.
And it's crazy. I mean, when I first heard about the story with, the former firefighter Gabriel Shin, and he's explaining a story to local news outlets, at first when you hear about it, you think this has to be fake, right? Then you read there's ongoing litigation. I mean, it's an active investigation. It's about as real as it gets, at least at this point. And I know that you like to make up some wild stories as well when you go to some town hearings and the rest, and you present stories like this, and you'll say that you've experienced racism or whatever, right, the joke. But do you think what this poor guy's experiencing, that if you tried to make it into almost a skit or a parody, that it would just seem so fake? Because it seems fake, but again, at this point, as far as we know, it seems all too real.
Well, reality is stranger than fiction, and that's why Mr. Shin is worried about his job while the other guy's not. And, that just shows you how we have a system that supports DEI when we should have a meritocracy. I mean, it makes me very worried that all these airlines are more interested in hiring a transgender pilot than a qualified pilot.